So let us begin with our heart-focused breathing technique. This is where we place our awareness in the area of the heart and take slow, deep breaths. And just visualize breathing through the area of your heart. So take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Breathing a little slower, a little gentler than you normally would. And just slow down the system in your body. This is the way to tell your body all is well. And this sets the body up to stop the stress response. Just this very simple, placing awareness in the area of the heart, taking slow deep breaths and visualizing these flowing in and out of your heart. Very powerful, very simple technique that just gives your body a signal. It's a language that your body understands. Gives it a signal that all is well. And when the body gets that signal that all is well, the body begins to focus on maintenance and repair. So think of your body as your house, as your home. And in this home, if your basement is flooding, you will immediately stop patching up the walls in your upstairs bedroom, and you will go downstairs and pay attention to that. And if the basement keeps flooding all the time, and it's there, and you're always forever bailing water out of your basement, you let your upstairs bedroom deteriorate because you can't pay attention to maintaining it. That's exactly how your body works. So the basement flood is really when you're stressed out. Things are happening. So right now, when you give it a signal, and you take the slow, deep breaths, visualize these flowing in and out of your heart, breathing a little slower, a little gentler than you normally would. It's giving your body the signal to send the soldiers up to the bedroom and start repairing and painting and rejuvenating. So all your diseased cells right now are being worked on. Your immune system is being boosted. Proper digestion is taking place. Nutrients are flowing. And the 1,400 different chemical responses in your body are all geared to help support your rejuvenation, your youthing, and your wellness programs that are running in your body. Slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of your heart, breathing a little slower, a little gentler than you normally would. Slow, deep breaths. Wonderful. The heart is the organ that can facilitate 90% of your automatic functions in your body. By focusing on the heart and taking the slow, deep breaths, the heart can influence your autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system controls 90% of your automatic functions, such as your enzyme release, your digestion, your immune system. And so by taking these short or slow deep breaths, and visualizing them going into your heart and flowing out of your heart you are actually helping the heart regulate your autonomic nervous system, which in turn will send the soldiers to your bedroom to repair and rejuvenate, to work on all those diseased cells, all those chronic conditions. Excellent, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on your Monday morning espresso shot. We're already in the middle of July, and it's wonderful. Today's I didn't know that moment. The I didn't know that moment came to me this past week when I experienced anger. And this is the level of anger. I wouldn't be talking about it here if it was just a trivial level of anger. But I did experience a lot of anger in this one moment. It was with a family member, and the circumstances I don't need to get into. However, suffice it to say, I was really angry, and I was yelling at the top of my head and at this person. And what was interesting is I've been doing this practice, the coherence building practice, for at least 4 years now. And I still get angry, yes. But what was interesting in this particular bout of anger, I felt I was in control. This is the interesting part. When you've been doing the coherence building practice and you're getting angry, you actually feel in control. And it was almost like I was being angry at this person, I was yelling at this person, but there was a part of me watching this from the outside, observing this, and making a decision whether we want to continue this anger or we want to stop. And there was a decision-making process that was happening outside of me that I was consciously aware of that said, no, this is where you draw the line. This is where you actually need to express anger because it's safe. You are not angry to a point of not being in control. You're angry from a rational perspective because this needs to happen. And so in this instance and situation, it was interesting. I was not out of control, but I was angry. However, the angry was not done in a way of compassion. So it was a choice I made to not be compassionate at that time. It's interesting and weird at the same time, but this was an interesting point of anger for me. However, having said that, and having once the anger, the situation was no longer active, and the other person left, I reflected on this, and I said, well, I'm so angry right now, there's no way I can feel compassion for that person. And I convinced myself that there was no way until I became my own coach and said, well, hang on a second now. You can transform it. And the question became, did I want to transform it? And did I want to stop feeling anger? It was another choice point that I had to make, because a lot of times we love to sit in our anger because it feels better. It feels good to feel that you are angry at somebody. It's an acknowledgement of sort. But at some point, we realize that we hurt ourselves. You know, in the meditation that we did earlier, I mentioned how your basement was flooding, metaphorically, and you don't pay attention to repair and rejuvenate the rest of your house. The maintenance functions fall by the wayside. And so while you're angry, you're flooding your system with cortisol, with stress hormones, and you're only damaging yourself. So having been a coach for a while now and teaching others how to arrest anger response, I began to coach myself. So first thing I did was I reached for my M-wave unit, my inner balance unit, and the results, if those of you who are on the screen here can see this, you can see the results. On the left-hand side, you can see my heart rate variability. It is the function of my heart rate, and this heart rate controls 90% of the autonomic nervous system. And having it control 90% of the autonomic nervous system, you can see that on the left-hand side, how at the bottom, the blue squiggly lines at the bottom where my cursor is, you can see how my heart rate was not very coherent. My heart rhythm were all shaky. And that's when I began to really start focusing on my anger. And when I did the coherence practice, like we've done in the past, like we've just done and we're about to do in the next couple of minutes, I moved over to the right hand side, and you see how my heart rhythm became very coherent. You see the nice little waves, and how I moved from red to green. And if you look at the timing, when I began to start moving into the green, which is where I'm very coherent, which is exactly what happens whether you've got this monitoring device or not on you. The moving to the green happens as you take the slow deep breath, so you don't really need to have this mapped out. I was just curious and I did that. But notice it took me less than a minute of this breathing technique, and I started moving into the area of very high coherence. And in about 2.5 minutes, I was in the field of compassion. Right after this 5-minute practice, I sent a note to the person, my family member, apologized, and told her that it was inappropriate of me to respond in that way. When I went and picked her up from her work, we were buddy-buddy again. It was like nothing had happened. It was like back to normal, and we were enjoying a wonderful conversation. All of that transformation took place in less than 5 minutes. So in the next 5 minutes, let us practice what I practiced and see if we can dissipate some of this anger, and then we'll take your questions. So let us place our awareness in the area of our heart. Take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Breathing a little slower, a little gentler than you normally would. And just slow your body down. Slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. And now reach for that regenerative feeling of love, feeling of compassion, feeling of appreciation, that inner ease, that feeling of peace. Reach for that. And just bring it into your heart. And exhale from your heart while experiencing joy, compassion, gratitude. We can always find something that we're grateful for. Always. Look around you. See something that you're grateful for. Your health. The fact that you're able to take the time out of your day to nurture yourself in this way. That's something to be grateful for. Not many people have that opportunity. In that gratefulness, in that appreciation, that is a language of your body that sends your body to repair and rejuvenate, to boost your immune system. The body understands emotions. And your emotions direct the body to either go into stress mode and stay there, or go into the anti-aging, repair and rejuvenate mode and stay there. And so what are you going to choose? And yes, it's a choice. You can feel joy anytime. There are many approaches to feeling joy. Think of the last time you felt exhilarated, joyous. Were you with a little child? Were you with your grandchild? Were you with your son, your daughter? Were you with your family? Were you with friends? Were you at a concert? Were you volunteering somewhere where you felt good about yourself? Or are you standing in line for coffee and somebody ahead of you bought your coffee? There's many things that we can be grateful for. So reach for that feeling that you have already experienced and bring it forward. Your body doesn't know whether this is happening now or it happened before. All it knows is that you are injecting a series of emotions that are joyful, that are appreciative. And that's the body's marching order to create this wonderful, healthy response in your body. Wonderful. It is 9:15, and we are done with the Monday morning espresso shot. Of course, we can open the lines up for any questions you may have at this point in time. Feel free to type in your questions and just ask any questions you have from today's session or from before. Lou, hello from Regina. Thank you for joining me, Lou and Will. I guess both of you are probably listening. Michelle has a comment here. This happened exactly on me last night. I was glad I remembered to do the coherence practice. I realized I needed to show my angry, otherwise I will be sick sooner or later, but I control my anger and calm myself down. So interesting. Yeah, we sometimes, it's better. Thank you, Michelle, for that comment. It is a lot better for us to acknowledge that we are angry, and at least if we choose to be angry, we're in control. We haven't lost it. We are in control, and our rational mind says, okay, it's time to be angry. And sometimes that's okay. Perhaps one day we all will learn how to be angry in a compassionate way. And it's not easy. It's a lot of practice, but I'm sure we can master that. And so, Michelle, thank you for sharing this. That once you started moving into that coherence practice, you can dissipate that anger very quickly, even after the event has ended. Because if you stay with that anger even after the event has ended, and you're on your own, you're doing harm only to yourself and nobody else by maintaining that anger state. So we want to get back into compassion. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. Cecile, using this technique for the daily niggles, that must be a typo, is so useful and makes life so much more magnificent. Thank you. Things no longer get you down. Wow, how wonderful, Cecile. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I measured this thing just so I could convince myself that in 1 minute I could go to a high coherence level. I knew I could get into that state of coherence, but I didn't know at how high I could take that coherence level. And I amazed myself. If anybody's got the inner balance unit, to get to a 4 and a 5 score is good. To get to a 6.3, that's what I recall getting at its height. Now that's amazing. And I've gotten to a 6.37 when I'm not angry, when I'm just feeling compassion and love, when I'm in nature. And going from extreme anger to 6.3 as a coherent score in 2 minutes, oh my God, that's I never realized I could get there until I measured it. So thank you so much for sharing that, Cecile. Wonderful. I don't see any more questions coming through, so please feel free to send me an email if you have any questions, or if I can answer any kind of other queries that you have, feel free to do that. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Niggle. Okay, Anne provided us a definition of niggle. Cause slight but persistent annoyance, discomfort, or anxiety. Thank you, Anne. I've never heard of niggle. But thank you for the daily niggles. Thank you very much. I learned something new.